There's always been this house in our neighborhood. It's been one of those houses that it hadn't been taken care of properly, and it ended up having a fire in one of the rooms. So I found it as an opportunity to take it on as a project. And it incorporated everything we do here at Bradsell. We do bathrooms, we had to do flooring, we had to do sheetrock and insulation, all new electrical, plumbing. We even did a lot of site work. When we first went in there, we had to take at least 8 trees down, probably over 80 feet tall. The property had just really had gone to the wayside and been neglected. And once we did that, it was amazing how different the property looks. Fire damage wasn't extensive, it was minor, but it was the water damage from the fire department that came in, so they gutted the house. We have the design, we get it approved, and now we start to have to take things apart. It's going through and taking all the areas that are bad, areas that you want to change. Now in Bedford, if your renovation is more than 70% of the square footage of the house, you have to bring it up to the current energy codes. Insulation has to be a certain R factor. The heating system has to be sealed. There's a lot of things that go into making sure that this house is energy efficient. Once we figured all of that stuff out, now we start putting it together. Start framing it. And the important thing about framing is that it has to be square. Everything has to be perfect, because if you don't get things right in the beginning, we've seen sometimes where something 1/4 inch off, by the time you're into the sheetrock and the trim, you're 1 inch off. So it's very important to get things right from the beginning, and then you start what we call drying it in, meaning you get a roof on it, you get the siding on, you get the windows in. So now you're dry, meaning it's not going to get wet anymore. Our goal was to get that by the time winter came, because after that, then you get your plumbers involved. They have to do all the roughing. Electricians have to get in there and they got to do all of their roughing. So that's all the stuff that goes inside the walls. You want to do that after it's all dried in. That stuff can't get wet. And then the insulation people come in and they seal up all the house. There's 2 different types of insulation you can use. The older style, which is the batt insulation, which is the fiberglass. They come in the long, fluffy packages. And then there's foam. What they do is they actually shoot foam in. And foam insulation comes in 2 different ways. It comes open cell or closed cell. Closed cell a little more expensive, a little denser, but the R factor's a little bit better. We ended up optioning to do the foam because we had to get a certain R value in the house. So a little more expensive, but it created a better product. And this is a great insulation because it's a great moisture barrier. It also fills all voids, so very, very little air comes in. All right, you can see it here. You can actually see this is going to have to be redone a little bit where these areas have been missing. If you put your hand here, you can actually feel the cold air that's coming in. So this is great for exterior walls and moisture, keeping moisture out, because this way it won't get damp down here. We have another type of insulation, which is this type, and here we have fiberglass, which is this type right here, which we don't necessarily need, this is an interior wall. We don't need this moisture barrier, so it wasn't as important to do it in that particular material. Also, this is more cost effective. It's a lot cheaper than the foam. Then the other one here, this is another type of fiberglass insulation. This is called Roxol, and this we use in areas that we want to insulate that's around heat. This is actually the hot water exhaust, and it will get warm, so regular insulation is not allowed to use. You need a specific one to use. And this also we use in soundproofing. So you'll see it upstairs in the bathroom, in the master we put it in, so that when you're taking a shower you don't hear the water in the living room. Next step is sealing up the walls. We'll use 1/2-inch sheetrocks in most applications on ceilings and walls. 5/8, a thicker sheetrock in garage areas. It's more fire resistant. can see this is green. So green we use, which is water resistant. We use that in bathrooms, anywhere that there's moisture. So these are 8-footers, which we'll be using for the walls on an 8-foot wall. These here, you can see are much longer, 14, 16-footers they come in. And the benefit to that is there's less seams. Also, it covers a big area. They're the ones also that go in and put up cement board and things like that around water areas. So in other words, a shower area, or above a tub, will get a different type of material because it needs to be waterproof. And with every piece, there's a joint or a seam. We call them seams. And you have to then cover those because you just can't paint over top of that. You see all of them. So the next step in sheetrocking is a taper. And then they put a couple of coats of compound on top of that to make it nice and smooth, because it covers everything and it hides everything. Once we sheetrocked, the floors get laid. We decided to put hardwood floors. Floors are done in 2 phases. You lay the floor, and then you leave it. Now it's rough, but you can walk on it, you can drop things on it. There's spaces. So it's rough, so it needs to be sanded. The trick before you finish the floors is you try to get as much work done as possible because you want as little traffic on brand new floors as you possibly can. At the same time the floors are going in, we have our tile guys come in. All the tile floors get done, all the tiling around the showers, backsplash, and put all our cabinetry on top of it. So all our kitchen went in at that point. So we do as much what we call the trim work and finish work as we possibly can. And then after that we paint it. Putting primer on everything, putting top coats on everything, finishing everything as much as we can. In our situation, and typically what we like to do is we will stain a floor, we'll put 2 coats of polyurethane on it, and then let it sit. And at that point, the painters will come back and they'll go through and they'll touch things up. And then at that point, the house is hopefully ready for resale. A community-oriented person, when I saw this house, I felt that it's such an opportunity to be able to revitalize it and create something that the community would like, but also the wonderful thing about a project like this is that you have a certain expectation in the beginning, and each phase that you do is exciting because you're getting closer to the end. And I think looking back, the whole experience was a positive experience. We purchased the project September maybe of 2017. When we were completely done, I would have to say it was the end of April. Once we got the permits and once we started going, I was happy with the rate of progress. I really, really enjoyed what we did and how we did it and the quality of work that we did. And now I'm looking forward to having it move on to make someone else happy.